Oh, hey guys, Justice Curry, toy collector extraordinaire. No, I'm gonna edit that part out later. That sounds crazy. Yes, I'm a crazy person. I wanted to talk about something. I didn't know really how to address it, so I'll just jump right in like I always do. But will having the best toy collection in the world make you happy? What if you had the best of the best, mint on card, whatever you collect, Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe's, vintage, prototypes, one-of-a-kind art pieces, things worth $10,000. Your room was the thing of envy. Would that make you happy? What are we all looking for? Find out after this short commercial break. All right. So I just got off the phone with a guy that reached out to me, just one of my Facebook friends, and I'm always advertising, hey, I buy toys and whatnot. So he reached out, said, I got a sizable collection. Are you interested? So we started talking on the phone, and he let me know that he has terminal cancer, and this dude's young, I think younger than me, and he doesn't have long to live. And I've been dealing with this recently with various toy collecting friends, them passing away, and I'm acquiring their collection. And it makes you put into perspective things that are important. And I've played this mental game with myself years ago when I was trying to get a full run of Nintendo cartridges, original Nintendo system. And I knew that the last one to complete the collection was Stadium Events, super rare. I think it was maybe $15,000 at the time. And I thought to myself, well, I could sell a chunk of my collection and come up with the 15 grand, and should I do it? And I was seriously thinking about it. I was sitting in my toy room, I'm looking around, and I said, what if it was in a case right now and I'm looking at it above my television? It has lights and it looks awesome, and now I have a complete collection. How would I feel? Would I feel any differently than I do at this moment? And the answer was no. No, I wouldn't feel any different. Now, most of you know who watch this, you understand that retail therapy aspect, or maybe you don't understand it, but it exists within you and you unconsciously have it. When you click the order button on that new toy, when you win an auction on eBay, when you find something at a toy show and you're like, yes, this is what I want, or I got a great deal on it, and that rush that comes over you. That's what I feel, and I'm guessing most of you feel that same way. Now, how long does that rush last? A little bit. You put it on a shelf, and then it's on to the next thing, the next thing. And I've often told collectors that reach out to me, and they're like, hey, I just found your video about G.I. Joe collecting, and I'm brand new, and I want a 1983 to 1990, or 1982 to 1994, and I want to start buying. One of the first pieces of advice I give them is, don't rush to the finish line. Don't just spend all your money, get them all of them right away, and then go, because then you're going to get to that finish line, and you've heard me say this before, and go, all right, now what? What's next? And then it moves on. There's a natural progression of collectors to maybe get mint on card or a lily pad from one toy line to the next. You start off with G.I. Joe, then you go, well, I had a few Transformers when I was a kid. And then it complicates things if you're a completist and everything's got to be perfect and you don't want cracks in your elbows, you don't want stress marks on your cards, you want everything graded. And then there's financial resources. Maybe you only make 20 grand a year, maybe you make $150,000 a year. So that can determine what kind of toys you buy. And I've watched some unhealthy spending habits among my peers, my friends, where they overcommit to things and then real world challenges come up and they're not able to afford cell phone bills. And they're calling me saying, hey, can you buy a chunk of my toys? Because I can't afford my mortgage. And I'm like, all right, but I have to pay X percentage. And some say yes, some say no. And it just is what it is. And my old man used to tell me, side tangent, it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend. Because someone that only makes $50,000 a year, only, that's a lot, can be better off financially than someone that makes $200,000 a year. And you've seen it with professional sports players, or you read about it, I'm sure, over the years, where they're bankrupt. And you're going, how are you bankrupt when you're making $10 million a year? It's because they were spending $11 million a year. So, little free, unless unsolicited piece of advice. If you budget yourself appropriately, you can be fine. So what does this all have to do? Well, being the doom and gloom, my last video, hoarding, a few videos ago, I talked about unhealthy collecting habits, which is accumulating and becoming hoarding-like behavior, and my own personal observations and my own personal ways that I conduct my collecting, whereas if I can't display it, I'm not keeping it in a tote. And I know many of you go, well, I'm gonna have a toy room someday. Or, yeah, maybe, but most of the time someday never comes. But yes, that video got more responses and people reaching out to me left and right than any other video I've ever had, because it struck a chord within collectors. And they're like, that's me. Like, you're talking about me. I didn't realize these behaviors, or how do I get help, or how do I curb this? And the first thing is, just like alcoholics, admitting that you have a problem, because most people that have issues rationalize it and go, I don't have a problem. Those people on hoarding buried alive that live in animal feces, they're the ones who have problems. And I did it myself with alcoholism. I'm like, I'm not an alcoholic. The dudes that can't have a job and beat their wife, they're the real alcoholics. I'm just lying to myself to rationalize my bad behavior. But to bring this full circle, what does it all mean? If you're looking for toy collecting to fill some type of hole within you, it'll momentarily fill it with the retail therapy, the little shot of endorphins in your brain. It feels good. You hold it in your hand, you put it somewhere, you talk about it for a second, take some photographs. Yeah, but overall, it ain't gonna give you lasting peace and lasting happiness. Happiness comes from any situation that you're in. Finding that peace. I mean, heck, why do you think I'm walking right now? Getting exercise, calming my brain, trying not to think about the woes of the world, because you're going through something, as am I. Everyone's going to various degrees of insanity on this earth that we live on. And I want to preach to you, even though I get all these comments like, you freaking hypocrite, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I am a hypocrite. I got sin in my life just like you do. But I'll make it brief, just so I don't have a million unsubscribers. But I don't care. I'm loud and proud when it comes to my love of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's where the only true happiness comes from, a relationship with the Lord. Money, fame, possessions, women, relationships, all of that will never make you happy. And just like in the book of Solomon, you know, all is vapor, us chasing after the wind. It's nothingness. And I do it too. I think that stuff's going to make me happy. And I have to get beat over my head consciously, like constantly, and going, what am I doing? Why do I do the things I do? And it's my sinful nature. But I'm going to tell you from experience, and ask anybody that's won the lottery. You see all these lottery shows of how the lottery ruined my life. And I'm one of those guys who go, well, I'd like to give it a try too. But when you read their stories or you listen to celebrities talk, there's a downside to all of that. And ultimately, it never brings happiness. Your happiness will come with a relationship with the Lord, and focusing on things that are more important: your health, your family, your knowledge, ultimately helping others. Why do you think I do these videos for free? Constantly people are like, why don't you monetize your YouTube channel? And I've said since the start of it many years ago, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this to share my adventure, to watch my kids grow up before me, and to connect with all of you, and to share the little bit of tidbits, right or wrong, hopefully mostly right, of knowledge that I have with my viewers. And I never call them fans, because that just feels arrogant. Like I had a Patreon early on, like, hey, give me some money so I can buy more cameras and actually get compensated for these videos. And then I just felt dirty doing it. I'm like, I'm no different from all of you guys. I'm just the collector that has a mouthpiece, and I figured out the Rubik's Cube of hustling, where I was successful with it and budgeted myself and was disciplined enough to build my collection from scratch without using real world finances. Truly blessed. So I don't know where this is gonna take me, but I look around my collection. I love my freaking collection room. I love it, I love it, I love it. But it'll never bring me joy. If I had the rocket firing Boba Fett, and I've had everything. I've had $5,000 pieces, $10,000 pieces, thousands of $5. I mean, just the value of the toy is nothing. And we chase after nostalgia, just like guys love sports or traveling or whatnot. We collect, for whatever reason, plastic toys from our past, and I love it. I will always love them. But if they all left tomorrow and my house burned down, they're just things at the end of the day. And relationships with you guys, with my family, that's the true importance. And I'm still trying to work on myself constantly. So to wrap this all up, have fun collecting. It's awesome. It's a great journey. The people are what's more important. Like my buddy Travis always says, he doesn't collect toys, even though he does. He collects friends. And he's brought me into that friend group early on, and that becomes your community. And if your community is not physical people, then you're watching these videos. It's the toy community where we don't pass judgment. We love no matter what, and we all share this common thread of toy collecting. And I guess this was just a little dose of, you're never gonna find the rainbow, the pot of gold at the, oh my gosh. Cut. That should be a t-shirt. You're never gonna find the rainbow at the pot. Wait a minute, I don't have that right. You know what I'm trying to say. You're never gonna find your true happiness at acquiring that one item, that want list, because I've conquered all my want lists, even the craziest things, and I'm telling you, it's fun. I love it. I keep going. I'll always keep going, but just know true joy does not lie within the toys. Bye-bye. No one's watching this anyway, so who cares?